Hey y'all, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I have another layout for the Hip Kit Club, and again I'm using the 2016 May Hip Kits. I'm going to be starting with this Jelly Bean Soup paper that you can get in the main kit or the paper kit, and I'm going to scrap this picture of me and my husband, and I printed it in black and white because I'm going to have a lot of color going on. And I've already done a cut file here, right? Well, it's not in the center, it's over kind of toward the left of the paper, and it says Laugh Happy, and this is one of Kim Watson's cut files. Okay, I'm gonna warn you, this is about to get really messy. You're gonna be thinking, what is she doing? This is not good. I'm gonna use some white gesso here to blend out a lot of this busy pattern around the title, and then yeah, here's the what is she doing part. This looked really good in my mind, but when I actually did it, I thought, oh no, this is just not good. I wanted to create this nice pink cloud, I guess you could say, around the title to kind of make it separate from the pattern. And yeah, I did that, but this looks like a hot mess. Just bear with me here. It turns out okay. But I'm going to dry this now because it's all kind of wet. I didn't even wait for the gesso to dry, so yeah. And now my paper is all curled up, as you can see there. And I've got a piece of something behind there. So I'm going to play around with other papers in the kit and try to see which one I want to back this with. And so far, this is looking way tacky. Yeah. I was trying to kind of mimic what I did on my last layout where I created that shadow effect. Not happening on this one. So I'm going to audition a couple of papers here because I've got to put something behind it. Nothing is looking good. I'm having a panic moment where I'm thinking, okay, it's time to trash this thing. But then I kind of decide, I kind of like that. And yeah, you're probably thinking, ugh. But I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to add some glue here behind this paper because I've got to get it flattened because with all the ink or the spray, it got all kinds of warped. So I'm going to glue it down so it is flat. So I've got that taken care of, and I measured this in my silhouette before I cut it, how big my picture was, and then how big of a space there was between the L and the H, because I wanted the picture to fit right in between those. And that part I actually did correctly. Not that the rest of this is incorrect, but you kind of know what I'm saying. I saved all of those little bits and pieces because without them, you can't really read what these words are saying. So I glued those back in, and now I'm going to work on everything else. And it's going to start to look better the more I add to it, I think. So I'm going to use some yellow cardstock there, and I did add a little bit of vellum behind my picture off camera, and that's going to give me a little bit of a yellow border around the picture. And I've got some other things down here already put, they're not glued down, but I've already got them there. I know I want to use that Jelly Bean Soup camera. I want to use the feathers and the today. And I'm going to use one of the flare. And then up by the picture, I'm going to use some of the chipboard from the She Blooms Illustrated Faith chipboard sheet. And I'm going to add a little bit of thread under it. None of this is glued down yet. This is all an experiment. And I think now that I'm covering up some of that pink, it's starting to look better. But by itself, it was a true definition of a hot mess. So yeah. Anyway, alright, I have to jazz up this camera because it's just plain white and it was bugging me. So I pulled some yellows from my stash. This one is a Creamies. It's a Shimmers, but it is from my stash. And I'm going to do a little bit of mixing with the No Yoking that came in, I believe, last month's color kit. And I'm using my water brush and I'm just giving it a light coat of these two yellows kind of mixed together on both sides. The middle of it's going to stay white. I just kind of wanted it to look shaded a little bit. But the yellow in the pot there, that's a Creamies, and it's called Daffodil. So I've got that how I like it. Nope, no I don't. I'm going to add some more. It's never enough the first time, is it? No. Okay. So I like the way that looks. And I'm not a huge feather person. I love the way they look. I'm just not very good on how to use them. I don't know. They never look right for me. But I like the way this looks here, kind of coming off the side of the camera. And I love the colors. So I got those two feathers together. And I'm going to add a little bit of thread under my flare button there. And it says selfie. And this was a car selfie, so it goes with the picture. And the feathers have nothing to do with anything. I don't think feathers ever have anything to do with anything, but they do look pretty, and I like the way they look here. And I like the way they're curving to kind of frame the side of the camera. I like the way that looks. Okay, so I'm going to glue everything down. And I'm liking how it's looking a lot better now. I'm going to get that glued down, and I'm going to come in with pop dots and raise up that entire camera. But before I do that, yeah, here comes another hot mess moment. You're thinking, what is she doing now? This poor girl needs help. Yeah, I needed something coming from underneath the camera. And that something is going to be two different shimmers colors mixed together. That is the Osé Can You See from last month and the Jenny B Blue from this month. I'm going to mix them together and flip it over and smudge it down. And it actually turns out to be just the perfect color. And the reason I added the gesso, here's my train of thought. When I have a busy background like this, I feel like I need some separation behind whatever the embellishment is and that busy paper. And the gesso kind of fades out some of the pattern and gives me a little bit of a white area, even though you can still see some of the pattern. See how the green, this teal color, it looks more of like a solid now that I've got it down because of the gesso. I think it would look totally different if I just put it straight over the pattern paper. I like to have a little bit of solid, I guess you could say, more of a solid color look there. And so that's why I think the gesso is a good idea, especially if you've got a busy pattern going on in your background. If that makes any sense. And you don't have to do that. It just depends on the look that you like and the look that you're going for. And I like the way I've got that teal coming down at the bottom. It gives it echoes the bluish teal color that is in the Laugh Happy part. But you've got the yellow camera separating it, so it's not too close together. If that makes sense. Okay, so I added the pop dots, and I've got the camera and the feathers and all that kind of raised up. And now I'm going to come in with more thread, and this is some hot pink, and that's going to echo all that pink up there at the top. And when I say all that pink, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, because that is a lot of pink. Whew. Yeah. It's looking better. It's looking better. What am I going to do now? I'm going to add in more feathers. These are from the Simple Stories wood veneer pack, and I love the way that looks. I decided to leave the wood veneer just plain wood because it kind of it stands out against those colorful feathers there. I'm going to fussy cut this one out from one of the Project Life cards. And I love that it matches perfectly the big colorful feathers. So I think that's pretty cool. And I'm going to add that up at the top, just as another little layer behind those illustrated faith flowers. Kind of looks like a leaf, I guess you could say. This is from Kim Watson's cut apart sheet. She designed all these little bits and pieces, and so I'm going to cut into some of those and use those. And my paper is definitely all kinds of warped. I know you can see the edges of it, but I do fix that here in a little while. I don't fix it perfectly, but I add some paper behind it, and it does help quite a bit. So I cut that little number 1, I think it says number 1 memory, or memory number 1, from one of the little cut apart pieces, and I'm going to kind of treat it like another flare button. I'm going to add a little bit of thread under it and then glue that down right there. So I'm going to trim off, and this is something, I don't know why, I go through phases, but I've been doing this a lot lately, where I cut off a little bit, about a 1/2 inch on one side and then a 1/2 inch on the bottom, and then I back it with another pattern paper. And usually I would cut out the part that you're not seeing, but this paper warped quite a bit with all of that pink that I added. So I'm going to just use the whole sheet. I know this is like blasphemy to cover that gorgeous paper, but I have another sheet of it, so I will be using it. But I felt like it was necessary to straighten this paper out because it was pretty wavy. And I really love the pop of teal that it gives on the edges there. Picks up from the title. So I'm going to layer these little cut apart pieces right on top of the camera there. And to make the title pop more, I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to outline all those little bits and pieces and then go around the edge. And you can see the difference that makes there. I did some stitching along the edges and kind of ruffled up the edges to make them look a little rough and worn. And you can really see the title now. That's the difference in just tracing the outline of it with a black pen. I really like how that looks. And I'm going to add in a couple more of the chipboard She Blooms flowers at the top and the bottom there. And these are also from the She Blooms collection. These are the cutest enamel hearts. Love, love, love those. And then I think this really makes it look a lot better. I come back to that creamies and I just do a little bit of light yellow shading at the top of the white part of the title, and it ties it all together, I think. It definitely, to me, I liked it. I'm glad I did that. I took out some of that stark white that was right there in the middle of the page. I think this is pretty much going to wrap it up. I do add my journaling off camera, and I do add a couple more of the puffy stickers. The little leafy parts, I add one at the top and the bottom by the feathers. You'll see that here at the end. And I do add a little bit more of the Oh Say Can You See splatters. And I think I also add some black splatters, but not a lot. So there's the final page. You can see the black puffy stickers, a little bit of black splatters there, and then my journaling. And I like how it turned out. I know it started as a hot mess, but I think I finished it okay. I had a good time making it, even though it seemed like a disaster in the beginning. So I hope you enjoyed watching this crazy layout come together. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. I hope you have a great day.